Again, give us just a few seconds. I want to give everyone permission to record, and we will then get started. Columbus Dispatch, Adam, go ahead.
Thanks for doing this. I guess just first question, how are you feeling? How ready are you to make an impact this weekend?
Yeah, so I'm feeling really good. I obviously trained today and really pushed the limits, and I feel great.
What's it been like watching the last two games and seeing the team go through a couple of tough moments, knowing that you want to get back out there?
Yeah, it was extremely difficult to watch my team, travel to Houston, battle in Houston, and then travel to DC, and battle there. We were very unlucky in both games, and it sucks when you have to sit on the sideline and you can't do anything about it, So it's the little things like now that I'm back, I have to make sure I do whatever I can to help my teammates out, and vice versa. They're going to keep playing hard and help me as well.
Thank you, Gyasi. For our next question, we'll go to Pat Murphy, followed by Ori. And if you would like a question after that, please click raise hand. Pat, go ahead.
Hey, Gyasi, glad to see you're doing better. Caleb talked a little bit about the injury, said it happened right at the end of practice last Friday. Can you kind of take us through your experience, what happened, what you felt, just kind of the situation there? It seemed like a weird one.
Yeah, like Caleb said, I had a knee knock, and it was just weird, because do I want to force it and play on it with playoffs right around the corner, or do I want to, take some time off to heal it? So that was the discussion between, me, Caleb, and our physio staff, and I felt like we made the right decision because playoffs, we already clinched the playoff spot, and I think it's important as we go into this last stretch of games of being healthy, everybody being healthy and being available to help the team hopefully lift an MLS Cup at the end of the year.
And you weren't on the injury report ahead of Wednesday's game. Caleb said there was about a 50-50 shot. Did you push to play, or was it like you said that you wanted to make sure you were 100%? Yeah,
obviously I always want to play every single game. Even if I'm hurt, I want to be on the field. That's just my mentality. But, we're trying to look at the bigger picture and really be smart with managing, I would say, playing a game against DC United or, being healthy to play a game against Philly and Orlando and the rest of the season,
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Gyasi. Next up, we'll go to Jordan Angeli, followed by Ori, and then Adam, and then we'll begin to like the final question after that. Click raise hand.
Hey, Gyasi, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
My question is about last week of season, and I'm just curious from your perspective and from the perspective of the team, what's the mentality like going into this last week with 3 games, and what needs to go right in your point of view in order to be at the place that you want to be going into playoffs?
Yeah, so today, we said it from the beginning. We had a meeting at 10 o'clock, and, all the games that are behind us are behind us. We're focusing on Philly, and that's our main priority right now. Taking care of business this weekend, and then we'll worry about the remainder of the games for the rest of the season. But this is a huge game this weekend. It's a preparation game as well, because obviously Philly's a great team in the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be an amazing opportunity for us to battle against one of the best teams in the league on our home turf. And also to answer the second part of your question, I just feel like we just have to be a little bit better on set pieces. Watching from the sideline, the DC game is just, we got unlucky on a couple of opportunities defending set pieces, or crosses, I should say. But, I have so much faith in our defenders and as well all the players, corner kicks. I have faith in us that we'll get it right. We'll watch film. And, I want to say our defenders have been there for us the first part of the season like no other. You know, all the shutouts we've had. So I think it's time that us attacking players, you know, we kind of raise our level, you know, to give our defenders some cushion. So I'm excited to look forward to the rest of the season. And, you know, I have 100% faith in our team that we're going to be perfectly fine. You know, we don't have to panic or stress out about the past results. We're just looking forward to this Philly game.
Thank you, Gyasi. Next up, we'll go to Ori at a majority, and the final question will be Pat Murphy. Ori, go ahead.
Hey, Gyasi, good to see you. You mentioned set pieces and the need to improve on set pieces. I'm kind of want to elaborate a little bit on that, especially from an offensive standpoint in regards to maybe corner kicks and free kicks and crossing territories. Is it more runs? Is it more delivery? Kind of elaborate. What do you think the improvement needs to happen for set?
So I was speaking about defensive set pieces, you know, because teams have been having opportunities at scoring during corner kicks. So I think it's early on just communicating and making sure everybody's matched up. But also, you know, we watch film on the team we're playing, but obviously teams set plays and set picks. So we just have to be alert and communicate and just win your battle, you know, win your 1v1 battle and hope that your teammate also will have your back. You know, because you never know where the ball is going to go. And majority of the time, a team is trying to target their big men, which are their center backs, you know. Sometimes their center backs are one of their strikers. So whoever's marking those guys, we just have to lock in on them and make sure they don't have an opportunity. And also, you know, it'll be nice also for us to score a couple goals on our set pieces as well, you know, with the right service and also with the right runs. But I think first, if the service is there, then we can talk about the runs, you know.
Thank you, Gyasi. Next, we'll go to Adam, and then final question will be Pat. Adam, go ahead.
I just had a follow-up to, I think it was Jordan's question, but I think you were discussing, did you say you had a team meeting this morning to kind of just clear the air? Is that what you said?
No, so we have a team meeting to prep for the Philly game.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not like a special team meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just watching video and just talking about Philly.
Okay. No more questions for me then. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Then for our final question, we'll go to Pat Murphy.
Gyasi, you've been through a lot of playoff runs, so I'm curious if, especially with the way the playoffs are now, one game instead of different legs, how important do you feel it is to have home playoff games, or do we make a bigger deal of that, especially in just one-offs? It's
extremely important to have home playoff games, especially with the new format. You know, we don't play home and away. It's just one game, winner takes all, and there's no better place to play on your home field. You know, you really have the advantage because not only are you traveling the day of the game and, you know, staying in a hotel for a short amount of time and then traveling to the field. When you're at home, you can relax at home and then just drive straight to the stadium. So I think it plays a factor. You know, we have to finish high in the table so we can have that home field advantage for that playoff seeding, you know, and it's do or die too. You know, like you said, I've been in a lot of playoff games and, you know, it's a different team from regular season. When you step on that field, both teams, you know, if you lose, you go home, your season's over. So you throw everything into those games for the full 90 minutes.
Thank you, Gyasi. This is going to conclude the segment with Gyasi Zardes. Up next, a reminder, if you would like a question, click the raise hand button, and I will then call upon you. For our first question, we're going to go to Jordan Angeli and then Pat Murphy. Jordan, go ahead.
You'd think by now I would know where the unmute button is, but I still struggle to find it. Hi, Darlington. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Going into this last week of season, I just asked Gyasi too what his thoughts were. What do you feel like needs to go right for the team? What do you guys need to hone in on to feel like you're at the spot you want to be going into the playoffs next week?
No, I think we've done a good job of controlling games. Some of the games, the last two games maybe, but maybe get a little bit more chances on goal. I think like maybe that's something we've been working on and something we can do a little bit better on the next couple of games coming up.
Thank you, Darlington. Next, we'll go to Pat, followed by Adam Yardy. And if you would like a question after that, click raise hand.
Darlington, your experience in the playoffs, especially now with the way the format is, the one games, how important is it to have as many home playoff games as possible, or is that something we make a bigger deal out of than maybe the team does?
I mean, it depends on the team. I think for us, it's and now that we're in the playoffs, I think for us the most important thing is just to play well. The results are the results, but I believe if you play well most of the time, the results will follow. So, we definitely want as many home games as possible, just less travel, and you're on your home pitch, and it's just, you're more familiar with things. But I'm confident in this team that no matter where we end up, we'll do fine. But, you just want home games are home games, and you always want to have those.
And Caleb mentioned after the game Wednesday that, these next 3 games are about getting the strongest lineup out there. How, given the injuries to you, to Gyasi, to Lucas, Aloy, how important is it to kind of reestablish that chemistry, that cohesiveness you guys had early on in the season?
I think it's very important. I think these next 3 games will help us with that. Obviously, been out for a while. Lucas as well. So just getting back familiar with him, with Artie, with all the guys in there, Aloy back in there. So I think these next 3 games will be huge chemistry-wise, and hopefully the performances are good. The results are there also.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Adam Jardy, followed by Jordan, and then Ori. Adam, go ahead.
Sort of following up on that, you talk about like kind of getting everybody back on the same page after guys have been in and out with injuries. Goals are the obvious answer, but like what ways will we see that when you guys are sort of back to feeling the way that you felt before guys started getting hurt? How will we see that in ways aside from just goals?
I think it's the way teams are playing us now. They're clogging up the middle, forcing us to go on the outside, which is that's been us who've been playing well down the middle, keeping them ball well. But I think now it's just the final step is finding ways to break it down. It's never easy, no matter if it's for us or any other team to break down a large number in front of you. But I think we're good enough, we're talented enough, and we've been coached well enough to break those numbers down. So the next 3 games we'll focus on that, depending on what the opponent does. But I think we've done a good job against opponents that open up and play. But just a little bit, we just need to be a little bit cleaner when the opponent sits back on us.
So do you think that as you guys continue to kind of get back on the same page, that's where maybe one area we'll see it, you guys can press more along the wings instead of just up the middle?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, I think Lucas coming back in there, obviously, you know how creative he is. So he'll help. He'll draw more attention centrally, hopefully free up more guys in the attack as well.
Thank you, Darlington. Next, we'll go to Jordan, followed by Ori, and then Pat Murphy. And if you'd like a final question after that, click raise hand. Go ahead, Jordan.
Darlington, the last time we saw you guys play Philadelphia, it was a fun, intense game. I'm curious about your preparation when you play a team that you've already played before. I know that the coaches prep you guys on the game plan and what they've been looking like lately, but do you also go back personally and watch the previous game and see how you were successful in certain situations to maybe help you in this upcoming match?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to see the previous game that you played them in, even though some things might change. You know, the opponent might change kind of how they've been playing the past couple of games, but I think it's always a good indicator of going back and seeing the game that you play, seeing where you were successful, what areas you need to get better at, and especially if it's against an opponent that you're about to play. So I'm a big believer in watching tape and video and getting better and learning from that.
Thank you, Darlington. For our final question, we'll go to Pat Murphy. Pat, go ahead.
Knowing Caleb like you do and playing in postseason with him, whether that be in college or in MLS, does he change at all, you know, when you get to that time of year? I don't know if not necessarily coaching, but does anything change about him as a guy, as a coach, anything when you get to that time?
No, he's pretty consistent, you know, preseason, regular season, playoffs, finals, you know, he's pretty consistent, which is a good thing in my opinion, but pretty consistent, wants to win, good performances, wants the guys to be out for it. So, yeah, I'd say it's pretty consistent.
Thank you, Darlington. That's going to conclude the segment with Darlington Nagbe. Please stand by and we'll join you with head coach Caleb Porter.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Darlington.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Excellent.
All right, fire away.
As a reminder, if you would like a question, please click the raise hand button and we'll then call upon you. And we'll get started. First question is going to go to Pat Murphy. Pat, go ahead.
Caleb, you mentioned the other night, these next 3 games, your plan is to play a strong lineup. I'm curious the priorities of these 3 games. Is it continuity, health, points? How do you kind of view this stretch here before the playoffs start?
Yeah, all the above. All the above. And it's always, the priority is always points. That's not changed in any game. But we always knew in looking at this kind of run into the end of the year that the DC game was going to be a game that we had to rotate. But we still, as you saw, put out a group that we felt could get a point out of the game or 3 points. And we fell short, and you saw we weren't happy about it. We're never happy when we don't get points. But, we knew with this Philly game home and Orlando on the road and then Atlanta, the last 3, that there were certain players that couldn't. There's no way they could play all five of those games after Houston with the travel and getting home late and then traveling again DC and getting home late. So we didn't want to risk injury with a few guys that we knew would be an injury risk if we did that. We know Jonah can do it. We know Pedro can do it. We know Booba's young. He can do it. Aloy in his position, he can do it. So we felt those guys weren't a risk. The other players we felt would be. So and we knew Darlington Lucas couldn't turn around after Houston and play major minutes again and then turn around and start this game. So we really managed it the only way that we felt we could. And but for sure the priority was still to win the game, and nothing changes. So the priority is to get points, play for seeding, find our form again. This is the first time, ironically, that we've had a full strength group since we played Philadelphia last time, which I believe was 11 or 12 games ago. So it's the first time since the last time we played them where we've had a full strength lineup. So we're looking forward to the game. It's going to be a really good test. They're the best team in the league right now. And obviously we had a good result against them last time, but I think they're a bit better than they were last time as well. So we're really looking forward to the game, and we're going to put out a strong lineup, a strong group, and I think it's going to be a perfect game to get us ready for the playoffs.
Thank you, Caleb. Next, we'll go to Jordan, followed by Adam Jari, and then Ori. Jordan, go ahead.
That's right where I was going next, Caleb, is this idea of iron sharpens iron. I feel like this is a really good match to lead you guys into playoffs. What problems or things do you feel like Philly presents that will help you guys get better or feel confident after this game is over?
Yeah, we've been through a gauntlet. I knew when looking at the schedule with 5 of 7 on the road and with the players that we've had out that it was going to be definitely our toughest stretch of the season. And there's no doubt about it, we took our lumps. But, I feel like in this last week of the season, it's set up really nicely for us to finally be 100% healthy and to have 3 games to get ready for the playoffs and to push for seeding and home games. And it's great to play the best team in the league right now with 3 games to go, because that'll get us ready. We have a group now that we can put out and compete for sure and give ourselves a chance to win this game, and it'll be a great test to get ready for the playoffs. So we're really looking forward to it. So it's set up nicely. We've definitely, like I said, been through a gauntlet, and we've been on the road and we've taken our lumps, and we've had to deal with some things over this period with guys out, and it hasn't been easy. But we've gotten through it. We're still alive. We're still in a good position. Can't forget that. And we have everything to play for. So we're really focused on this game against Philly. We'll have a strong group. We'll have a fresh group. And it's going to be a great game.
Thank you, Caleb. Next, we'll go to Adam Jardy of the Columbus Dispatch, followed by Ori, Pat, and then Jordan.
Caleb, thanks for doing this. With when you talk about having guys back and sort of being back to full health, a guy like Gyasi, what sort of form did you see him in right up until the last two games, obviously, and just adding him back into the mix, some of the things you've been working through the last couple of games. What sort of boost is it having him back?
Yeah, I know. I always say this, like, it's easy to forget, that we've been on the road 5 of 7. It's easy to forget if you roll back through the lineups, who's in those games. Those are things we have a perspective on, and for sure the last couple games has been a little bit of a mixed bag. We get Darlington Lucas back, but not really full minutes, not playing together for major minutes. And Gyasi, then is out those 2 games. So we're just really looking forward to having our top group, our full strength group with our best players together. I'm not saying all of a sudden everything's going to be perfect. For sure, we're going to need all 3 games with our top group to kind of work out the kinks and get back into rhythm. But I'm very confident in our ability to win this game versus Philadelphia. And in order to do that, you need your 9, your 10, your 6. You need your top guys to beat the best teams. And we can grind out points and grind out wins, with anybody in the lineup. I feel like, we have always good plans and we're prepared, but, for us to play the way we want to play and for us to compete with the best teams, we need our best players. So it's great timing to get Gyasi back, to get Lucas and Darlington back, and to be able to go full throttle into the playoffs. Gyasi's a key player for us. He's the guy that finishes the play. And, we could see that last game we didn't really have in that final third that quality like we normally have when Lucas and Gyasi are playing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. As we begin to wrap our media availability, we'll go Ori, Jordan, and then Pat Murphy.
Caleb, I'm just kind of wondering, obviously yesterday we found out, that we found out about the standings change, points per match now determining the overall standings. Did you guys have any reaction to that at all?
It doesn't really change anything for us. Really more changes the Western Conference. And points per game are going to be the points per game equal to the points, so just changes the West, really. It's the only thing that changes, really. So, yeah, no, not really. No reaction.
Thank you, Caleb. Up next, we'll go to Jordan, and then the final question will be Pat Murphy.
Caleb, and just talking to Darlington and Gyasi, they were talking about, and you mentioned it too, everybody back in, feeling that rhythm that they could take control of games, but also have that final product. To gain that confidence back, are you guys prepping them by showing them when it went right during the season to kind of, because you don't have a lot of time to train, right? Are you using film as a way to reestablish some of those connections of how things did go right when they were going right with all those players on the field?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we're where we're at with Lucas missing, I think it's 10 games. I don't know for sure, but right around that, and Darlington missing 8. And, when you look at like Sebastian Berhalter started 4 games this year. Aiden Morris has started 2 games this year. Sebastian's played in 9 total. And the amount of games now Buba's playing. So these are all things that I think they've been positives that we've been able to get guys minutes, young guys. But I definitely didn't think if you would have told me that Lucas was missed 10 games and Darlington missed 8 and we'd be third in the East, I wouldn't have believed you. So I think we've been able to get through it. This last stretch definitely has been tough. We know the perspective of it. And I think that's the big thing. You got to keep it in perspective. Doesn't mean that we accept it or are happy about not getting points in a lot of those games, or not on the road in 5 of those 7, maybe being as good as we want to be. But you really always have to look at, okay, well, how do we solve it? Well, it's going to be pretty easy because, we know we're full strength. We know we're entering 2 or 3 at home now, and we know we're still in a great position. But that's not enough just to have that perspective. You have to actually now go and perform and win these games coming up, which I'm confident we will. So getting back in a rhythm, I think it's pretty easy when you have good players. You plug them in, you train. We had a great session today, which was good because we rotated. We were able to get a session, because when you don't rotate, you don't get a session in. You get basically the match day -1. So we're able to actually train today with a good majority of the guys that are starting the game, work on some things. We can look at Philadelphia because we played them. We can look at our reflection and the things we talked about after the game when we played them, the things we did well. And that's basically what we've done the last several days.
Thank you, Caleb. And then for our final question, we'll go to Pat Murphy.
Caleb, without going into detail on it, the situation with Josh, I'm more curious about his absence to your lineup. We talked about a bunch of these guys here. He's a guy who's probably had a career year this season, maybe unexpectedly, but to have him miss these 4 games, again, right as you're starting to get everybody else back, how much of that has affected you guys defensively, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's another thing, right, that we've had to manage and deal with. Obviously, I won't comment on the specifics of it, but for sure having a guy like him out of the lineup who was in the lineup and was starting for us, has impacted, our overall level. Buga's done a good job. He stepped in. But, when you add it all up again and you look at everything over the last several games, it's not hard to figure out, why we haven't gotten as many results. We've been on the road and we haven't had a full strength group. So now we have to, with the group that we have, get back in a rhythm and use these last 3 games to get points and to get our continuity back, to get our top level back, to get our philosophy and playing style and identity and those connections back. And I'm confident in the next 3 games that we're going to really be in a good spot. And I'm really confident when the playoffs start that we can make a run at it. No, that's not changed.
And has Josh been able to train so he can step right back in if needed?
He's not been able to train with the team, no.
That's fine.
Thank you, Caleb. This is going to conclude today's media availability with Caleb Porter. Thank you for joining us.